What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Optimize You podcast. We are the podcast helping you optimize feeling and looking your best every single week. If you're new to the podcast, make sure you subscribe. If you're not new, make sure you share it with a friend, coworker, family member. We appreciate all the help. And now in today's podcast. It has been a draining week, y'all. And we got a little solo pod for you today. Just me. And yeah, this week has been just drained me. Very stressful from about Saturday till yesterday. And it took a lot out of me. And really, I know for those of you who've been listening or watching for a while, you know that my kryptonite is candy, sweets, that I've had struggles in the past with going crazy on those things. And that's what I did here earlier this week. Just ate a ton of candy, ice cream, donuts, everything in sight for 3-4 days. Right. And it never feels good. I know any of you out there who have struggled with that, like it doesn't feel good. You get like a stomach ache after, you kind of like feel like maybe your body doesn't look as good. And plain and simple, just need to get back to managing stress a little bit better. And also not focusing as much on things outside of my control. Because I know that's one of the big things that I do struggle with from time to time is like, I've done all I could with something. There's not anything I can do anymore. And yet like it still like consumes my thoughts in my life. And it's a tough thing, but even just remembering to take a deep breath or to go on a walk or to listen to some like calming music or music that kind of gets you out of your own head, I think can be some good reminders for myself. Cause this is just, I've done this many, many times where I just kind of record a podcast and just try to almost like help myself throughout the podcast. As I know I haven't struggled with this as much throughout the last like at least 6 months or so, but it still pops its head in here and there. And it's a good reminder that I don't always deal with stress as much, that I kind of run away from the stress, or I try to, not allow myself to feel some of those emotions that are associated with stress. And I don't want that to be the case. I know like I want to be able to go through life and feel all the different emotions and understand that that there's going to be stuff that's out of your control. And the more we can let go of those things and the more we can just like be present with what's in front of us right now our life's going to be a lot better. And actually it's funny, like right before this, I was on Instagram for a second. And Chris Williamson, he has one of my favorite podcasts, Modern Wisdom. If you don't listen to it, he has amazing guests on. He is really, really good at interviewing, something to take a look at. And he had like a little clip that I watched, and he was talking about like the question of like, what would the you tomorrow want the you today to do? Right. And like, it's almost like a frame of decision making. And I think that's a really, really awesome frame to look at life from, where it's like, a lot of times we're so focused on the instant gratification of like trying to feel a certain way now, trying to like feel to get that dopamine hit or like feel good or run away from stress or anxiety or any of these things. And we forget that right after we do the thing, right after you binge drink, right after you like binge on candy or go crazy on sweets, right after you smoke or do drugs, if you're maybe trying not to do those things, is generally like shame associated with it, or some sort of thing around like shame. Oh, why did I do that? Like, I feel like shit. Oh, for me, a lot of times it's like, oh, I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, oh, you fucker. Like, like just, it does not feel, and honestly, like half of that too, it's not like I like ate a crazy amount of calories, but I think half of it's the mindset that you're in. You're in this like darker place where, nothing's really good enough, right? Or like it's like you're going to see like the dark side of these things, the negative side. And I found that too, where when I'm in a certain headspace, a certain type of headspace, where I'm just not like, it's not a great mindset that I'm in. I've been pretty good for a while at remembering that and not like jumping to conclusions or like not allowing myself to go like crazy on like certain thoughts and just being like, you know what, I'm going to just pick it up tomorrow and I know I'll feel better and I can think about this thing that's like in my head tomorrow or whatever. I can solve this problem tomorrow. But a lot of times trying to solve a problem from like a negative headspace can be difficult. And so I thought that frame of just what would the future you want the current you to do is a really good way to look at it. And I think what a lot of us struggle with, I'm just speaking from personal experience, is just that little gap, like creating a little bit more space between the decision, right? It's like creating enough space to do something different, right? It's like just enough space. And that I think comes from the awareness of the pattern that you're in, right? It's like this, I'm in this pattern. It's like, I know, like I can feel it. I can feel myself starting to move towards the refrigerator. I can feel myself, about to order Grubhub. I can feel myself, moving towards the liquor store or whatever it would be, and like creating enough space there to do something different or to be aware of what you're doing and like use some sort of like tool where it's like, you know what, I'm going to try to go on a walk. I'm going to give myself space in between this. And if I come back and I still want to do it, cool, let's do it. I'm going to go meditate for 5 minutes, or I'm going to, do like a quick short workout, or, some yoga, or, I'm going to like stretch, or like something that you can do. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to take 10 deep breaths. And if you can create that little bit amount of space, like I've found when I've been able to do that, it makes a huge difference. And also just surrounding, that's I think why I've been so good at this for the most part, and why this is just kind of a random, blip where I haven't really dealt with this a lot for 6 months, is because I've surrounded myself with, a lot more people that have been really helpful there. Obviously, my girlfriend has been just amazing, like addition to my life. Like I can't express how amazing these last 6 months have been, and how much it's just made it easy for me to not do some of these things that maybe I have in the past. Cause it's not just me, it's me and somebody else now, right? I'm not just thinking out like personally, like I think in terms of us, and, I think it really just helps me out. But there's always going to be these times. And like, this is nice to just come on here and talk about it, because it just reminds me that, it's not that big of a deal. And that, we do, like, if you're somebody who struggles with maybe seeing yourself in a bad light, when our mindset is down a different, if it's down a different path, like we're going to see like the worst parts of ourselves, right? And reminding yourself about that when you're in that spot, and creating that gap and trying to focus on what you can control. I think so many times, like I ruminate on things that I have no more control over. And I've constantly been trying to figure out ways to just like let go of those. And it's so much harder said than done, right? It's so much harder said than done. But there can be, I think it's kind of along those same lines of what I was talking about, where it's like, if we can create a little bit more space, right? If there's some sort of exercise you can find that helps you get out of your own head a little bit, or helps you like think about something different. If there's some sort of song that's like, this is my song, it helps me like calm down. It helps me think about different things, or it brings up like this amazing memory of this trip I went on, or this, like when we went here, and like, it's like this song always makes me think of this person. And like, if there's something we can do, and this has given me ideas, guys, this has given me ideas of things that I can do to be better in these scenarios. But I think it all just comes down to just creating a little bit of space, and finding little tactics that you can use throughout the day, even small, like, you know what, I'm going to take 3 deep breaths when I feel stressed. And like, you'd be surprised at how much that can actually help, because when we start to get stressed and we can't get out of that fight or flight system, not only does it like do a lot of us gravitate towards habits that we're not exactly proud of, or we get stuck in these negative loops, but also like, that's not good for our bodies, right? That's not good for our bodies. Like, it's wearing us down. It's breaking down muscle. It's breaking down our bodies. And as we know, like, stress is one of the big causes of disease. And, I would venture to say that stress is probably one of the big reasons why so many people are obese these days. Like, it's the cause of a lot of these things. I think it roots in stress. And stress can make things a lot more difficult. It can make fat loss a lot more difficult. It can make, enjoying life a lot more difficult. It can make just daily things so much more difficult. It can make succeeding in different areas of our life so much more difficult. So if we can learn to manage stress and just find these small little things. I know like sometimes people, you might think, oh, like 3 deep breaths, like it's that's not going to help me. Well, you'd be surprised at just like how much better that is than just like continuing to stay in that or continuing to push or continuing to stay inside that fight or flight. So hopefully this has helped you guys. I know it actually has really helped me out to just talk through this and to figure out different things that I can personally do. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy it. If you do, all I ask is that you share it with somebody out there that that you think could benefit from this, somebody who's maybe stressed out, who struggles with stress. Hopefully this can help them as well. But I do really appreciate you guys listening and watching every week. I hope you have a good rest of the day, and I'll be talking to you soon.